Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out something called Dream.1 by developer Oxam. This is a first-person exploration game. We're going to be wandering around a very bizarrely huge neon blacklight reactive city where it seems like everything is pretty much made of holograms and is strangely transparent and interesting, and I really don't know what to make of this one just yet. I've only wandered around it for about a minute or so while I got my levels, and I'm impressed. So the first thing that you'll probably notice is, well, there's a clock in the corner of our viewpoint, and it says 5:32, and I believe it always says 5:32 from what I can tell. This is our holographic timepiece, and it's letting us know, well, it's at least getting us on the right direction here, that maybe we're dreaming. And I hate to spoil it right off the bat, but you know what, I might as well do it after we get a good look at this amazing cityscape. My goodness, this is pretty. This is all explorable, by the way. We're going to leave our apartment in a second and go have a look around. It's very vast, and that is a very vivid and colorful representation of a city. Surprisingly diverse as well in the architecture, and there's so many different effects going on. Like both the red effects down at the bottom, like smog stuff coming up from the city streets, to there's like these little holographic bits floating in the air. There's stuff going on in the ceiling, what looks to be a giant sun, and all of this like shattered glass craziness, as well as these blacklight reactive neon-edged shelf fixtures. Anyway, what I said I was going to do is I'm going to go into the escape menu here, which tells us we have the choice of either keep dreaming, return to bed, or wake up, aka continue, return to spawn point, or quit. And I'm going to actually return to bed for a reason that I might be totally off in saying this, but there's a chance that I might be right. I have noticed there's one sound that seems specifically to be emanating from a certain point, and if I get near it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It would be this. Now, you might not be able to tell without headphones in, but whatever this little creature is, it seems like it wants you to follow it. At least that's the impression that I got, because when I restarted before, I noticed that it was in one side of the apartment, and then I actually saw out the window it looked like it disappeared, like it was going off in a certain direction, and I felt like maybe I was supposed to be near that when it was happening. So I'm just kind of gonna let this thing do its thing for a moment, and maybe it's just letting me walk around, and then maybe it's going to bust out and go somewhere. Or maybe I'm just making this up entirely, but I just don't want to miss out on something if there is something to go on. How on earth did it find its way out? It seems so bad. Like, its AI doesn't seem to know where it is. It's kind of glitching into the walls. Well, I'd love to get a little bit of time spent out in the city if we could get a move on here. Okay, maybe it was just a fluke that it found its way out the door by accident. I want to help it along, but I don't know what to do. There's no buttons, there's no interaction that I have, really, to go on to help this thing. As far as I can tell, oh, it kicked me? I think it kicked me. I think I actually collided with it, and it vibrating kicked me across the room. That's interesting. But yeah, there's not in the way of interactivity in this, as far as I can tell. It seems like we're mostly just going to wander about and see what we can see. Might as well go out to the lounge, or rather the toilet over here is all neon-edged. There's, I guess, the bathtub. More beautiful shelf fixtures. This is such a wild place to live. And then we can just kind of jump out the window, if we so choose, down to whatever on earth is going on down here. Wow, the RGB tree forest is wild, and it's totally breaking the frame rate for some reason. Okay, it doesn't like when I go in there, so I'll avoid doing that again in the future. So as we find our way down to the bottom of the city, well, we'll notice a few things. Number one, the detail on a micro level is nowhere near what it is at a macro level. We've got city streets here that seem to be made up of basically just alleys with these, garishly lit sides of buildings and such. But we've still got some interesting shaders and things to look at off in the distance, so we're just going to kind of go down this way for a while, see if there's any cool-looking buildings we can wander off toward. And you'll notice occasionally that there's like a transparent building here as well, which I believe, we can actually stand on. Not really sure what these are as far as representational. Like, if they are representational of anything, they might just be here for looks, for aesthetics, and to make the visuals more interesting, or there might be a meaning to them, I don't know. I guess I'd be curious to know what you think about that. But right now, I'm just kind of getting the vibe that we're just supposed to have a good time just kind of wandering about, seeing what the boundaries are to the city. Oh, there's a big, crazy-looking apartment complex over there. Maybe we could head in that direction. Does also cast some interesting light on the surroundings when you can look at it all through, a transparent color like that. I guess it kind of changes the perception of the city just slightly. Okay, what's over in this direction? I think we're getting closer. Yep, there's the apartment building. It's one of the only ones with this much structure that I've noticed. There's a few that have a little bit more geometry going on, but I think this is the most complicated looking building that I noticed in the city without taking a lot of time to spend looking at them. And there's also these elevated pathways that we can walk around on. Kind of took those to mean that there were like train tracks or something like that maybe, but I haven't seen any mass transport floating around the city. Also, I have to say the controls are very, very slidey in this for some reason. I don't know if that's intentional or what, but it does seem like I have a lot of trouble getting around at times, which, considering I think probably the most fun you could have in this is sort of parkouring about in this environment, that does seem a little bit detrimental, that you might run into situations where you're just going to have trouble moving around. Alright, so it doesn't look like there's an easy way up. Maybe I'm just supposed to look at it from the ground. Also, I have no idea what this is all about. There's just occasionally these bizarre neon structures laid into the ground. I've seen a couple of these so far. Not any ones right around where we started, but I did see one in the minute before I started the recording that was like a big yellow ball of lights. Oh, we can actually stand on them as well. I didn't realize that. Again, maybe just meant to help make the environment a little bit more interesting looking. Oh, what is this? Little sculpture of glitchness out here in the street. Can't get a good look at it. There's so many things and I'm so slidey. Just kind of like, see, I've let go, and this is how much momentum I get. And maybe that's, again, intentional because they want you to feel like, you know, the parkour thing is a big emphasis, so momentum-based movement is probably where we're going with this, but, like, I'll tell you as soon as I stop moving and watch how far I slide after that. So 1, 2, 3, release. That was all sliding until I hit that building. Alright, so we've got more weird structures over here. Oh, this is pretty. What on earth is that? Maybe this is just installation art. Would not be surprised. Seems like a very progressive dream city. And there is that element, of course, as well, you know, not to overlook it, but this is meant to be like a bizarre hallucinatory dream. Again, you know, that's what that clock was signifying, most likely, that we're in, like, the midst of dream hours. And that is actually very pretty. Some of these colors complement each other very well, and certain framings of the city actually look really lovely in the right context. Wish there were a little bit more, like, wish there were some more open spots that I could get some good jumping in, or maybe if I even had a double jump, since, you know, it's a dream, so who cares, right? Let me go nuts with it, but then I guess maybe I could exploit things a little bit too easily. Can get some pretty good height on things. Is there any direction here that I want to go in that might be more interesting? Got some pointed skyscraper action over there. I really like that bright red building. Maybe we could go off in that direction. See it straight ahead there. Oh, wait, is that just because it's transparent, or is there actually geometry? Oh, I saw a flying thing. Where did that go? I guess I could try and follow it, but I think I'm already headed in this direction. There's also all kinds of little sounds happening occasionally, like stereo positionally. They're not, like, massively influential over the tone that you get from things, but I think there's just enough ambience that you feel kind of like you're in an, you know, ethereal dream world. I think if anything, if I was to make any changes to this, I would want a little bit more specificity about, like, how the player should feel about the whole thing. You know, give us a little bit more guidance, because right now it's an extremely passive environment, and I guess that's fine to a certain degree, but I'd also kind of like to be able to be led in the direction of a narrative, although it's a dream, so, you know, granted, take that with a grain of salt as well, because, you know, dreams aren't really to be directed like that. But for a dream, it is remarkably uniform in its delivery, wouldn't you say? Everything seems to be very static, and dreams are often, you know, rather tumultuous, and every time you think about a different thing, it'll take your dream in a different direction. And I would imagine in the same element, and this is now like the second or third video I've brought this up in a row, sort of like LSD Dream Emulator, you know, every surface you touched influenced your dream in a different way. I could imagine this could also be very interesting in that respect as well. Maybe it uses colors to that effect instead of surfaces. You know, maybe the more of a certain color you have in focus, the way it could sort of use that to influence a dream in one direction or another. And that would also increase the player's capacity to think about pervasiveness of color in a certain setting. Whether or not that matters, I don't know, but it just seems like we've got such an emphasis on colors in this that maybe there would be some way to put that to good use that could be interesting in both a compositional and gameplay core concept way. If that makes any sense, I hope it does. So I'm having a very difficult time platforming in the direction of this red building. It's unfortunately not being quite as forgiving as I'd hoped to make it up some of these larger surfaces. Oh, I slipped all the way off of that. I stopped moving so far beyond when it let me slip down. I kind of want to hang out with this purple building too. This one's pretty cool as well. But everywhere I go, I just keep slipping off of things. I just want to find a spot where I can stand and look at everything around me. And I found another, it's a whole street of bizarre neon art down there. Kind of hope that there's more cool little, like, installation pieces like that you can run into around the city. Oh, I've wedged myself in between those fins on the side of the building. Okay, this looks like it could be promising. I see another blue pathway, and then maybe we could cross back over up here, get a little bit higher, and then what about, oh man, there's like no more surfaces to go to. Okay, go over here is like a lateral movement. I go over there, that's not really going to help either. I need to get up onto that red building on the side. Can I get from this one maybe up to here? That seems a little too tall, actually. What an interesting platforming challenge to be using all of these buildings just kind of organically in your own problem-solving way to come up with a path through this dream city. I mean, seems unnecessary. If we're in a dream, why can't we just fly? But at the same time, like, this is the gameplay that we're given. And our curiosity is the only thing really driving us forward here, and I think that's very spurred on by the fact that this city is interesting to look at, and kind of begs the question of, like, what else is hidden beneath the surface here, because right now it seems like we're given a lot of surface and not a lot of depth. So we want to kind of uncover something more. That's, I think, what's driving me to keep playing this, and to what's to, you know, discover or figure out about it is just, you know, is it worth figuring out? Is it worth finding the platforming combination to get to whatever goal that I happen to be on the path of finding? I don't know. That's the curiosity about the whole thing. See, every now and then I'm rewarded with a very cool structure like this that makes me want to keep looking about, and I guess this is the apartment that I started at. It seems like the only thing with a lot of definition going on. As you can see, yeah, there's actually quite a bit of detail there. Good luck getting back up there, though, unless you actually just use that button that says to go back to bed. I'm quite astounded by simply how large the scope of this is. It really does seem massive. I'm just going to walk on this street until we reach the border of the world and see to what degree we can keep going on. Seems like I can make it over that. Okay, I can't keep staying on the same course. Fair enough. Oh, almost. Alright, now we've gotten into some very tight corridors. Stay up on the train track. Music feels a little bit more harmonic in this moment for whatever reason. I'm not sure it's changed at all, it's just like became a little bit more present here. Still going. I'm starting to wonder if this is going to wrap back around or something, because how on earth is it this long? Oh, okay, I think I'm starting to see the end here. Alright, so the borders of the outside edges of the city seems to be surrounded by just buildings that are too tall to escape from, which is making me feel like, man, I wish I could bring a Katamari ball into this whole thing and roll this neon city up. But I guess I get that feeling about just about every game that has a lot of similar-looking objects in it. That is quite striking, actually. Whatever's going on right there, I like that. And this giant blue sun or moon, I don't know which. That's another kind of strange element about this. You can't even tell if it's day or night, just due to the fact that the lighting is so strange and mysterious. It's a cool atmosphere. It's an interesting tone that it's got to it. Very enigmatic, like I said. But I think that's about all I want to talk about for Dream.1. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on this one, if you don't mind. Go check this out. You can actually download it from, I think it's on each.io, so it's pay what you want for this download. If you'd like to support the developer, I highly encourage it. What is this? Oh, this actually has some edges to it. Oh, I like this space. Reminds me of Cube. Very cool. Anyway, yeah, so go check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. I still do read all of my comments, so feel free to chime in, have a little discussion with each other and myself. And if there's anything particularly interesting in there, I'll be happy to continue talking with you guys ad nauseum, honestly. So leave a like also if you don't mind on the video. It does help out spreading the word with these interesting and unique games. And I'm still on the look for them every single day. So any likes that help support the series, help support that cause as well. I will be back, of course, again tomorrow for another episode. These go up every single day without exception, so I look forward to seeing you back for another one then. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a fantastic night. Talk to y'all later.